So welcome to another episode of Junkyards and Barn Finds with Sean, and I'm Sean. Alright, I was just going down this road and I passed a GTO in the backyard of somebody's house, and I'm gonna stop in here. So we saw a garage door opened up and a blue GTO in the front yard, and surprise, surprise, when we come up and asked the gentleman if we can talk to him about his GTO, a garage open, and there are two race cars in here. One is a Javelin, and the other one is this beautiful
72 AMX.
Oh, it's a 72 AMX, not even a Javelin. And a 65 Chevelle, and these are both obviously not stock.
A little bit more than stock.
So I'm going to start with the Javelin. So we'll start with Javelin. And your first name is, sir?
I'm Eddie.
It's Ed.
Eddie's fun.
So Eddie is here, and Eddie is a friend of the owner. We're waiting on the owner to come back. But this, you said it had a little bit of a history.
So this car's been raced its entire life. It was bought brand new. It was set up as a gasser. It has a straight front axle. It's the reason it sits so high, and it was designed that way. Spent probably less than, I think it's got less than 30,000 miles. They're all quarter mile at a time. Ran up in Michigan, ran Woodward Avenue. It's had several different motor transitions. It had a 401 in it. That was most of its race life. Right now we've got a 355 crate motor. It's a 240 blower, I believe, with dual quads. Never really dynoed this thing to see what kind of power it makes, but it's a hell of a lot of fun out on the road. It's got a 456 gears in the rear end, automatic, 704R, and it just lights up your world. A lot of fun to drive. Everything you see is just sort of, so we're working on the AMX, and then we'll tuck it in a corner, and then we'll work on the Chevelle. And
When was the last
we swap them out all the time.
When was the last time this was on the track?
It's a running car. We haven't taken it on the track with the blower. The last time it was on the track was with the 401, and the blower is sort of unique. I can go shut that off if you like.
That's fine.
So we got a compressor that's we got a small air leak, so it's going to chase us.
That's okay.
Every 5 minutes. But so the blower's unique. It's new. It's basically a car show.
So now it's a more car show, but it can still do the same thing.
It's a lot of fun. I'm sure it's a mid-12s, if not a low 12-second car.
Now, is he the original owner of it?
I think his brother-in-law owned it.
But it's a family. That's why you know it was bought for racing.
Yeah, and that's why we know its history 100%. So it's gone through some family hands over the years, but it is when it was bought brand new, it was raced.
And then the vinyl, like the split vinyl roof, the color and all, do you know?
Like
so it's probably all original, that and the interior stuff, except for the racing mods.
It had a really nice paint job put on it at some point.
Oh, okay.
That's probably 20 years ago. But the flames and all that, it used to be Lady Willpower. Now we call it Mellow Yellow. So
well, these are so rare nowadays.
Small work in progress, but it's actually a running car. It drives in I mean, it's the neatest, coolest thing to drive down the road. It drives very nice. It's manageable. You probably wet your pants if you get it over 100 miles an hour. But other than that, it's a lot of fun to drive.
Oh, nice. So let me take. So I would say we would look at the VIN plates on the fenders, except there's no fenders. So
yeah, all that it was built. It was built to race. The gentleman that originally bought the car to race it is no longer alive. It's a family-owned subsidiary, and so it's got some sentimental value.
And even though it was a racer its whole life, it still has the back seat.
Oh yeah.
And the full dashboard.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
So when you're running up Michigan, a lot of these gassers ran gas qualifying, right? So
right.
This was probably a D gas or a C gas, depending on the weight of the car. I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head, but it was designed.
Can I open the door?
Sure.
Oh. Hold on, let me talk to Gary. All right, so tell me a little bit about the story of, what's your first name? What do you go by?
Gary.
So Gary. And Gary, you are from originally?
Michigan.
And tell me about like this car. How do you come about owning it and everything else? So Gary's the owner. He's letting us visit. And as I said, we came down the road, the garage door was open, I saw the Chevelle, and then suddenly, look what is hidden inside this garage. So Gary's been kind enough to talk to us about it, and it's been in your family since it's new?
Actually, my brother-in-law bought it new.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the car.
Well, originally, it was just a grocery getter. AMX is an experimental name that American Motors used. It's made from a Javelin body style, but the AMX, and I won't, it's a long story, but the AMX used a lot of experimental things on it to make it fast because they wanted to get into the racing business. So what happened was that this year, which is a 72, the 72s, they were thinking we need to make a bigger car. And AAC Racing was coming out. So what they wanted to do is Mark Donahue wanted something that they could do AAC Racing with. So that's the original reason why the 72 was built by American Motors. Now this originally had a 401 in it, and it just had a standard 335 rear end in it, and a automatic transmission. They used a transmission from Borg Warner, which is an early automatic transmission, 3-speed, and the Borg Warner transmissions were cast iron, really heavy. Unfortunately, they were really expensive to rebuild, and nowadays they're even worse than they were. Now, when Dan first started building this, it's because he had a couple bad ball joints in the front end. So he decided to take the torch to it, chop the front end off, and put a straight axle. This is a 54 Chevy straight axle.
So what year did that happen? Like what year did...
It was around 75.
So the car was still, like, I know, like, is this the original paint and body panels? Because
This is the third repaint, but it's the original body panels.
Because there is no rust or anything on this car.
No, there was a couple real tiny spots when he had it done back in, I think it was around 2000, 1999, somewhere in there. He had the body redone because it had sit out in his backyard in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
And so the frame and everything was really good because it never touched the ground, but it did have a couple little spots in the quarter panels. But I think this car only has 64,000 original miles.
So it's basically a survivor
it's
car.
just a survivor.
It's not like it's
just kind of different survivor.
Right, and it's not like it was redone recently. It's been decades.
Yeah, it's been decades. Now the latest, the blown engine, of course, is recent, but the original 401 was taken out to swap out to a 360, which was a Mark Donahue motor, because allegedly there was a lot of stuff done on it and those kind of things. So Dan thought that he'd get as much power out of that 360, which he really didn't. But this car turned at 1220. That was about its best time in a quarter mile. Around 120 miles an hour.
Wow.
The problem is with these straight axles, the caster and camber is fixed, and so it's kind of it doesn't wander around. It just goes in a straight line. So to drive this on curves was a little bit tough. But drag racing, that's kind of where it cut its teeth.
Well, I noticed like the interior is,
That's
other than the shifter, it looks
it's original.
original. I mean, there's not even a roll cage or a roll bar in there.
No.
So, just curious, because you know you guys take this racing,
Yep.
and there's a lot of places that you need to have safety
Well-
stuff. How do you get around that?
Because NHRA and IHRA, there are speed and horsepower ratings that as you build in horsepower and speed, then they add more things to it.
Okay.
Add roll bars, add helmets, add this, that, and the other thing. Now, this is a small block Chevy. This is a 355 crate motor in here now. And that is a B&M blower. And B&M designed these blowers to be under hood blowers. And so, like everybody wants to know if it's a 671 or an
Right.
871. Well, the fact is, this is a B&M 300. It's the way they rated them. Because
Okay.
671 was rated as a 6-cylinder motor and 71 cubic inches of compression.
Right. They're a lot taller too. They're a more square.
That's
Lower.
That's the
This has
difference
a
with the B&M. B&M was built this way, even though they got the same amount of flow out of them. They were built this way intentionally going to the hood.
Now, the flames and stuff, that was all part of the old school, or that was part of the last paint job.
That was part of the last paint job, yes.
And
the pearl, and it's got.
And this had a name, didn't it?
pearl.
At one point, this had I saw a picture you had in the office. It had a name or something.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I was gonna. Back in the 70s, the early 70s.
Can I open this door,
late
by the way?
60s. Sure, go
Okay.
right ahead. We used to name cars after songs.
Oh, okay.
This was called Lady Willpower. And Lady Willpower was because my brother-in-law's ex-wife, that was a favorite song of hers. So every time that he thought about her, especially after he cut the front end off of the torch, then he figured he better name the car after.
Wow.
Behind
So that,
you,
just a quick question, says
Yes.
46,000 miles on this thing.
46, that's right.
So 46 that's the
That's
original.
the original amount of miles.
Wow.
A lot
And
of
it's
those in a quarter mile.
and it's an automatic.
It's an automatic.
So
And if you right behind you, if you don't fall over it,
Yeah.
that's the tunnel ram that was on it
well,
before we went to the blown motor, and that was on that 360 Mark Donahue.
oh, okay.
Now I have driven this 120 miles an hour, and I have actually done it was about a 1225 I think I turned with it. But it's getting old. And so I think what we're going to do, we've kind of decided to just make this a car show car.
Okay.
So we're redoing it. You'll notice the hood's off.
Right. Is that the hood that's out there
That's
upside
the
down?
hood that's out there. We're
Okay.
blasting that in and changing, because it had a big tunnel ram on it before.
Oh, gotcha.
So we decided to reduce this.
Now is that the
down.
original hood?
That is the original, and that's interesting you mentioned that. Back when the AMX was built, to make these different, Eddie, can you help me flip this over? To make this different, what they did was they actually took a metal frame from the hood, they took the skin off from it, and they ended up putting a fiberglass skin on it. And
Oh, so this is the original hoods for this car was
this
fiberglass.
is the original hood,
It's
right there.
Fiberglass.
Half and half.
Oh wow.
This is the original fiberglass hood, and you'll notice that they wanted to get what they called cold air induction back then.
Right.
So
Cowl induction.
cowl induction.
Right.
They wanted to put cowl induction on it, so they made this skin, the factory did, and bonded it to the metal frame.
Wow. I did not know that at all about AMX.
Now the hood that my brother-in-law had done came off from a race car called Color Be Gone, and it was about that high before. See about there, Eddie?
Yeah, you couldn't see through it, that's for sure.
And the problem is trying to drive it, you can't see to the right. So with us now wanting to make this more of a cruising car, we needed to get it down a little bit so that we could see.
Not worry about the aerodynamics as much.
Yeah, yeah.
So now you just like to show the chrome out the hood.
Amen.
Right.
So, okay. Well,
The slicks that we were going to run on it, I don't know if we're going to run them or not. They're
Right.
back here too somewhere.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I loaned those out.
Oh.
A friend of mine was racing last Run Day Sunday, so he's got those. But these are the ones that are going on the Chevelle, basically
Cool.
the same thing.
And do you guys trailer it down? Is that what
No,
Oh,
drive
yeah,
them.
Wow.
You want to talk about it?
So you're going to drive this down? I'll tell you what.
Sure.
You call me when you're doing this because I need to
I
get
drove that
some.
last Run Day Sunday. I took it down there.
I need to get a video of this thing going down
I'll
the
take
road
you
and
for a ride.
some reactions to the people next to you in the.
Everybody
it-
did.
You know what we should do is, hey Eddie, what we should do is let him drive it down.
No. So even though I think it was a barn find garage, like because I've never seen these cars out, they're out, they drive, you race them on Sundays.
Oh, yes.
And if anybody wants to watch the videos of that, they can go to your website.
Absolutely.
I'll put a link in our comment section if you
Yep.
all want to go see them. There's the AMX over there. There's a video of the AMX over there, and there's Ed's GTO over there. So if you guys want to go and see any more about those or the Chevelle, go ahead to the hotchilirods.com.
I would like to invite you
so-
to come out on Run Day Sunday. Come out with us.
I
We'll
may
get you with your camera, and we'll get you out there running the 8th mile with us.
I may do that. So if it's bracket racing, maybe I'll race the truck.
There you go.
Well, thanks, Gary, for the information. Appreciate it. Like I said, this is a really cool video. They're awesome cars. You never know. These guys are basically less than 3 miles from my house. I have lived here for 19 years. I've been in car clubs. They're actually in a car club that I used to be a part of. April, should they subscribe to this channel even if they don't like cars today for this one?
Probably just for this one.
And yet, here you go. So you never know what's around the corner. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.